everyone, so today I'm going to be bringing you a really exciting video, at least in my opinion, and that is the review of the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette. It's kind of going to be a review video, a swatch video, and kind of a is it worth the hype video. I'm just going to give you a spoiler already because it's definitely worth the hype. I will say that right now. So I'm just gonna go through a bunch of different categories that I look for when I'm deciding whether or not to buy a palette, and how I think this palette rates in all those different categories. So first of all, I want to talk about packaging. I personally really love the velvet packaging. It does get dirty because dirt sticks to it, but like there's rarely a palette. I think the Naked 3, as far as the hard plastic, is the only kind of eyeshadow palette that I have that doesn't get dirty. So I really do like the aesthetic of the mauvey pink, rosy toned color, and I really do like the feel of the velvet. The only downside is the dirt factor. Presentation is really great as well. My mirror is so dirty. There's so many fingerprints on it, so just excuse that, but I really do love the mirror. You know, it's one that's big enough that you can, if you needed to, do your whole face of makeup, especially your eye makeup, in this mirror, so I really like that. There are 12 eyeshadows in here, and I just think that's a really good number. They're good sized pans, they're not too big, not too small, and you get a really good color selection. Now moving into color selection, I really appreciated the amount of mattes and kind of demi-matte shades. A good half of the palette is matte. And it's matte warm tone shades that I feel like look really good paired together or paired with any other look from any other palette you want to use. But I really like the fact that there are so many types of looks that you can get with this. You can get just a plain matte burnt orange brown look. You can do a champagne with the brown in the crease, a very good everyday look. Pinks, oranges. So a lot of people, when they see the color selection of this palette, get a little afraid because they're like, okay, there's an orange shade, a bright pink, how am I going to use these shades? And I was like that too. That's why I was reluctant at first, and then I realized, you know, like, you can use these shades quite easily, especially because the palette gives you so many other shades that are wearable and are everyday shades that you can pair it with. This, I definitely know that I have no eyeshadows that are like majority of these. There are some shadows that are pretty, I guess you could say, basic, like the warm dark brown. This is kind of reminiscent of like Peach Smoothie from Makeup Geek. And the gold and the champagne, you could say that they're pretty dupeable, but as far as the big pops in this palette, I've never seen anything like these, and I just think it's great to work with. Now, as far as the shadow quality, I will do swatches, but overall I think that each of the shadows is really pigmented, but it doesn't have a ton of fallout or kind of dust like other eyeshadow brands. Like specifically, I love Lorac. Their shadows are super buttery, but they do have a lot of fallout, and I just don't see that as much with these. I really think that Anastasia's eyeshadow formula is just continually gets better and better and better. Every time I go into Sephora to swatch a new palette, they're always improving, and I think this is just the best. I think this is my favorite eyeshadow formula that I own. Another thing I wanted to mention before I get into the swatches is the fact that this palette retails for $42. And you might be thinking that's a lot, but in comparison to other palettes, like each Urban Decay Naked palette is around $50. And so this is a significant like $8 price drop from that. And honestly, for the quality, this is great. So it's a little cheaper than some of the more high-end eyeshadow palettes, but it is a phenomenal palette. So honestly, I'm just saying it right now, I think it's worth the hype. I think it's a great addition to anyone's makeup collection, no matter if you're just starting out or no matter if you have the world's biggest makeup collection. This is going to offer you something that you don't already have, for sure. It complements every color combination of hair, eyes, skin, so I just think no matter if you're just starting out in makeup, you can make this work. If you're an expert, if you're a makeup artist as a living, you can make this work. And another thing I wanted to point out is that I've used different types of brushes with these. I've used all e.l.f. brushes with these phenomenal looking. It blended out great. And I've used Sigma brushes and Urban Decay brushes, and the brush it came with, more higher end brushes, and also looked beautiful and blended out really well. So it's really a good idea to try to at least go into Sephora or an Ulta or something and swatch this, because I think it's phenomenal. I think Anastasia is doing a great job, and I'm really excited to see what future eyeshadow palettes they'll put out. Without further ado, let's get into the swatches. So here I've swatched every shadow from the top row of the palette, and I'll go through and tell you the shade names. This matte brow bone color is called Tempera. This is Golden Ochre. This is Vermeer. This is Blonde Fresco. This is Antique Bronze. This is Love Letter, and this is Cyrus Umber. And as you can see, the lighter shades are a little less pigmented, but these pops of colors, which I think are what the palette is really famous for, they swatch so well. They barely take any effort. You just have to kind of glide your finger or your brush on the shadow, and you'll get great color payoff without even trying, and I really, really appreciate that. And now here on this hand is the bottom row of the palette, and it goes Raw Sienna, Burnt Orange, Primavera, Red Ochre, Venetian Red, Warm Taupe, and Realgar. Realgar? I'm so sorry if I pronounce any of these shades wrong. The only shade that I had trouble working with in the entire palette was this Venetian Red shade. It is a little patchy, but as you can see, it still gives a very good swatch, so I still think it's a great eyeshadow. It's just not quite up to par with the rest of the shadows. It might just be me or the way I swatched it, but that's just how I'm getting it right now. Also, I wanted to mention that this Warm Taupe shade, I've been using this as a brow shade for a couple weeks now since I've gotten this palette, and I really, really enjoy it. Anybody who has light brown hair or blonde hair, I think would do great with this shade. I really like to fill in my eyebrows lighter, so I really recommend this shade. I think it's great because now I don't have to buy a brow product. Now I have their Warm Taupe shadow, and you know, that's a great little addition. Here are all the swatches once again. They're very nice. You can tell that the color payoff is no joke, but it's also not so much that it makes everything muddy. Like, these shades blend out so amazingly. They blend and they blend and they blend without kind of just wiping away, because I don't know if you've ever tried to blend drugstore eyeshadow. Some of them, you blend them and blend them and blend them and then they just disappear, but these are a dream to work with and a dream to blend. So you probably already know that I'm gonna say it's totally worth the hype for the reasons that I've already gone into during the span of this video. I definitely recommend it. Can I say that enough? I don't think I've seen one bad review on this, because I just think that even the people in the makeup community here on YouTube who have more makeup than they'll ever need in their lives still say, okay, well, this palette was giving me something that I didn't have in my collection already, which for these gurus who have, you know, so much makeup in their collection, that's really saying something. And I'm just really proud of all of the growth I think that Anastasia has done as a brand, because I mean, I remember swatching their palettes a couple years ago and being like, I mean, they're alright. And then the eyeshadow formula, every single palette that would come out, I would swatch it and the quality would get better and better and better. And I own the Tamana palette, love the Tamana palette, but even I think this palette, the formula of the eyeshadows was an upgrade since the Tamana palette. So I just feel like their shadow formulas are getting so much better. This is probably my favorite shadow formula I've ever worked with and my favorite set of warm shades I've ever worked with. And that's saying something, because if you haven't seen my eyeshadow collection video, or eyeshadow palette collection video I should say, I'll put this in the more info section or something so you can go watch that. But I have a lot of eyeshadows, and even I, who claimed that she didn't want to buy any more palettes anymore, still finds a need for this. I love it so much. So yeah, I hope that was a nice comprehensive review for you. I know everybody's been doing reviews and swatches and worth the hype videos, so I hope this offered something to you. These are just the things that I look for when I'm deciding whether or not to buy an eyeshadow palette. The packaging, the color payoff, blendability, ease to work with. Those are the types of things that I look for, and I hope that I conveyed my point across that this is a really great palette, and I think at the very least you should go to Sephora. Next time you're in Sephora or Ulta, definitely swatch this and see what you think about the color Payoff. If you own this palette, let me know in the comments below. I am working on a tutorial if that's not already up. It might be already up, and then I'll put it in on the more info and you can watch that. But if it's not already up, it will be up soon. I'm gonna keep doing a bunch more tutorials with this. I'm wearing it today. I'm wearing the palette today, and then I added on a glitter that I'm going to be featuring in my favorites video along with this palette. Spoiler alert. So if you want to see that, that will be up soon, if not already. I'm so sorry. I don't know when I'm putting all these videos up. I'm just filming so much lately that I don't even know what order these videos are going up, but you can find it all on my channel, so make sure you subscribe and like this video. Let me know if this review is helpful to you, and I will see you guys later.